Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRNAM for Thursday, June 15th, 2023. The top story today, researchers discover a therapeutic target for glaucoma treatment. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Dr. Arupratam Das is with the Indiana University School of Medicine. Dr. Das, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is a really important conversation. It's about glaucoma. And before we get into your research, I want to ask you, yours and the team's research, I should say, let's talk about what is glaucoma and how many people does it affect a year?
Yeah, I mean, it's eye disease, and it's an irreversible eye disease where people lose vision, and sometimes it can lead to complete blindness, not all the time. Typically, doctors diagnose this disease by checking eye pressure. First of all, if someone having any vision problem, they go through a lot of screening, and if there is a suspect that the person might be having glaucoma, they do a lot of imaging, and one of the tests they do eye pressure. And if eye pressure is high, that's the first major risk factor that that person might be going into glaucoma disease progression. So yeah, so it is a blinding eye disorder.
Yeah, and this just underscores why you should always go to your ophthalmologist. And many employers have eye plans. That's an important product or important service to always take advantage of. Now, this disease causes blindness. Does it impact specific age ranges, or could you have glaucoma, for example, at age 20 versus at age 85? Is it age specific, this disease?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. And aging always a risk factor for most of the neurodegenerative diseases, so as glaucoma. And typically it is associated with age, and after age 40, it is always recommended you should go and check with your doctor, just have a routine checkup of your eye, because that's sort of like after 40, if someone has any predisposed risk factor, some genetic disorder, that's the age. After that 40 years age, it could show symptoms, or the disease onset might happen at around that age. But by the time you'll have some symptoms, that some vision loss you're experiencing, might be too late at that point to mitigate. So it is always recommended at around age 40, you should go and check your ophthalmologist. And that being said, glaucoma could be a early onset disease as well. There are some form of glaucoma are very severe. And even there's a pediatric form of glaucoma at the very early period of someone's life could have glaucoma. That's why this disease is extremely complicated. So you often think that eye pressure is the major risk factor. As we age, that might go up, can cause glaucoma. But there are patients with perfectly normal eye pressure can still have glaucoma. So, but that's a small portion of glaucoma patients. It's called normal tension glaucoma, but majority is aging-related disorder.
Yeah, and how do doctors, assuming you get the pressure test, assuming that it's detected early, how do doctors, ophthalmologists, how would they treat glaucoma typically?
Yeah, I mean, the typical treatment is lowering eye pressure. And to be honest, that's the only available treatment option we have now. If someone has high eye pressure, doctor can prescribe some medication that will lower eye pressure. There is also a surgical procedure that to drain some of the fluid from your vitreous so that the eye pressure goes down. But keep in mind, even with that treatment, it can slow down. It can slow down the disease progression, but it doesn't cure. And for normal tension glaucoma, eye pressure is normal. So there is not much room to lower eye pressure a lot. And even if you lower a lot eye pressure significantly, there could be other side effects. So we have to be careful on how much eye pressure you want to lower. And that's actually that's sort of like the motivation for our research, that how do you really protect these neurons, irrespective of high eye pressure or the low eye pressure. End of the day, if someone has glaucoma, this neuron that connects our eye to the brain, called retinal ganglion cell neuron, that has to die. So if we can protect these neurons, then we will be in a much better place to treat this disease, perhaps in combination with lowering eye pressure and it's called the neuroprotection approach. And the neuroprotective treatment give you more effective therapy. So that's basically, in brief, that's how doctor diagnose and treat.
Yeah, and you teed up perfectly. That was a perfect segue. Because doctor, I've got to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a new therapeutic treatment that Dr. Das and his team have developed. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Invesco's latest Show Me the Income study reflects on the evolving retirement industry today as it faces the pressing need to help participants turn their defined contribution plan savings into long-term retirement income. Key findings from the research uncover that nearly 7 in 10 participants fear running out of money in retirement, and only 22% were very confident they could create a retirement income strategy on their own. What can employers do to help? To learn more about the study and request the white paper, visit Invesco.com/retirement income or contact your Invesco DC professional. Cited research is based on Invesco's work with Greenwald Research. Invesco is not affiliated with Greenwald Research. Invesco Advisors, Inc. is an investment advisor that provides investment advisory and does not sell securities. Invesco Distributors, Inc. is the U.S. distributor for Invesco's retail products and private placements. Both are indirect, wholly owned subsidiaries of Invesco Limited.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives and we just had a good conversation and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're joined this morning by Dr. Arupratam Das of the Indiana University School of Medicine. Dr. Das, thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I feel like just talking to you, Dr. Das, my vision is even more clear today than it was maybe at the start of the program. But Dr. Das, let's talk about this therapeutic treatment. And you described in the first segment what glaucoma is, and really the motivation. The motivation right now is that there really isn't a formal treatment. Tell us about this new therapeutic treatment, and can we as patients get access to it today?
Yeah, that's of course, all of us are working hard. That sort of motivates us to wake up and push for it. And just to let you know, the discovery that we made, it's still preclinical. It's not yet at the stage to get into patient's hand, but I think it's a significant step forward. Just prior to this segment, as I sort of alluding towards, glaucoma is a complicated disease, and it has a high eye pressure as one of the major risk factors. And the other thing is, even without high eye pressure, someone could go on to become blind or at least lose vision with normal eye pressure. So we have to have a way to protect these neurons from dying. And that's the neuroprotective approach. So that's why we took a human stem cell based approach. We don't have much understanding on how do we protect these neurons. And one of the factors that we know based on literature as well as from our study, that these neurons are highly energy dependent, meaning all of our cells in our body are constantly working and they need energy. And in cell, energy currency is ATP. It's a small molecule that they use to burn and get energy. And we all love energy. More energy is bad, less energy could be bad too. And these neurons, when they suffer lack of energy, they tend to degenerate more than the other neurons in our body or other cells. Keep in mind, most of the neurons are highly energy dependent. Now, in our cell, there is an organelle called mitochondria. It's a small tube-like organelle. And if you look at in a cell in a microscope, you'll see almost like hundreds of snakes swimming through in between each other. And those organelles constantly producing ATP. Now, in glaucoma patients, it has been most of the evidence sort of like indicate towards mitochondrial dysfunction. In other words, these neurons are suffering ATP, lack of ATP or lack of energy. Now, how do you really investigate this disease at a very mechanistic level, at a very detailed molecular mechanism to figure out what's going on with their energy homeostasis so that you can improve that? Eventually, that neuron could survive longer. Or in other words, you'll protect these neurons for glaucoma therapy. So we took an approach called human pluripotent stem cell based research. We have patient-derived induced pluripotent stem cells. From that, we differentiated to retinal ganglion cells. So basically, all we'll need some patient's blood sample or a small skin biopsy. From that, we can prepare iPSC, and from that, we can differentiate that neuron. So we took that approach and figured out in a glaucoma patient's ganglion cell, they have a lot less mitochondria, but their energy demand is just like any other healthy ganglion cell neuron. It's almost like you have a big stone to carry, and you are carrying that stone by 2 people versus 10 people. So if 2 people are carrying that heavy stone, they are going to, of course, be tired and eventually get injured over time, versus 10 people carrying that same weight. So in glaucoma patients' neuron, that's what we have seen. The small number of mitochondria are producing more ATP over time. What that does, that led mitochondria to burn out. And mitochondria get swelled, damaged, and that's sort of leading towards death of this neuron. So then we try to think, how do we really make more mitochondria, more healthy mitochondria in these cells, so that they don't need to, they can distribute their workload among many, many other folks. It's just like instead of 2 people, you are giving 5 more people to carry that same stone, and they will be a lot more relaxed, a lot less burned out. So we came up with a strategy. There is a protein called TBK1. And there is a drug that can inhibit that protein TBK1. So without getting into the complicated biology of this system, what it can do, if you target that TBK1 protein, that can help cell to make more healthy mitochondria. And once these ganglion cells started making more healthy mitochondria, then we saw their burnout rate for mitochondria reduced a lot. And then even if you are throwing a lot of stressful reagent to those cells that could damage mitochondria, they're still surviving longer period of time. They're staying healthy for a longer period of time, both in the wild type neuron as well as in the neuron with the glaucoma mutations. So that is something we feel like a breakthrough in a way. We can restore mitochondrial homeostasis or health that could lead to neuroprotection. Yeah, that's like in brief the summary of this research.
Yeah, and so as you were talking, it actually was taking me back to my 10th grade biology class, and I can remember, just not to go off topic, I remember Dr. Wright, Mr. Wright, talking about Watson and Crick, and so we were ATP, adenosine triphosphate. It actually brought back some of those lessons from many, many years ago. Last question, Dr. Das, and that is, when do you get to the patient trials? So you've developed this therapy. It looks like it can work based on the stem cell, based on some of these other tests. When do you get to so the first part of the question is, when do you get to the human trials? And secondly, can this reverse blindness? So could this process you're talking about, the therapy, reverse blindness, and could it apply to other eye diseases?
Yeah, that's a great question. You have been asking really fascinating questions. And in
Well, thank you.
Yeah, in terms of reversing, we cannot, whatever is lost, it's lost. That cannot be replenished, at least by this approach. There are other research going on replenishing lost cell. So that's called regenerative medicine, and you could get the vision back. Although it's a long shoot, we have to still cover a lot of ground to get to that point. But at least this neuroprotection approach will be effective if we can diagnose glaucoma early, or even at the midway. If someone has still some level of vision left, that means there are some neurons are still healthy and working. So we could protect those neurons. And since it's an age-related disease, if you could delay the process, that person might be able to see during his or her entire life without becoming blind. So it's actually a neuroprotective approach, but it cannot reverse the loss, whatever happened. For reversing, there is another medicine treatment. I mean, research going on is you can inject this differentiated neuron into the eye with the hope that this cell is going to go and see it wherever they need to be, so that they can send out their axon through the optic nerve back to the brain and start firing, and so that we can start seeing again. That's another active area of research going on, not in my lab, but there are several other prominent scientists that are working in that area. And in terms of clinical trial, it's just a very promising area. For example, based on this discovery that we published, we performed a screening, small molecule screening, to see, can we find any drug that will help this ganglion cell to make more mitochondria, just based on the finding that we did. And interestingly, we found one compound that is helping these cells to make more mitochondria on top of what we have published. And when we treated mice with that compound, and we artificially injured their optic nerve, basically artificially injured that ganglion cell that is back of the eye that goes to the brain, what we have seen, if you treat mice with that compound, mice can, without treatment, they can become their vision compromised within 7 days, and they can see almost 30-40% compared to the healthy mice. But if you treat that mice with this compound, that mice can see well more than a month, and their ganglion cells are protected, both that axon that goes to the optic nerve as well as the cell body in the retina. So that's like a step forward. That's much more indicative of clinical trial, success for clinical trial, or it can get to the next level for human disease treatment. So Yeah, I think it has a tremendous promise.
Yeah.
Based on what we are seeing.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And you know, research is ebbs and flows. It winds in different directions. Sounds like you're on the right path, however. Dr. Das, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. And we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And that wraps up this episode of BRNAM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news and lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more, and all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content, visit our website, and of course, all of our streaming partners. We're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRNAM. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving. And don't forget, roll with the changes.
Waiting here for you to take and drink of. But if you're tired,
Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the first lifestyle and wellness network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.
Tax audits, tax liens, wage garnishments.
Every day we hear stories like this about good folks who are simply struggling to pay their bills. Each of them are living a frightening IRS tax nightmare, and they are afraid it will destroy their lives.
I'm a divorced single mom, and my ex-husband left me and the kids with a lot of unpaid bills, including unpaid taxes. I was really starting to show my stress on my kids because the IRS had sent me a letter demanding a huge payment from me. I couldn't afford it. So then the IRS was threatening to garnish my wages. I'm already living paycheck to paycheck. That would have put me over the edge financially.
It truly seemed hopeless, but then a friend at work told her to call the tax relief line.
The people at the tax relief line, they told me about something called innocent spouse relief. They worked it out so that all of the taxes from my ex are not my problem. I don't know how that works, and I don't care. All I care about is that I don't owe the IRS a dime, and they are not going to take my paycheck.
Even if it seems hopeless, you should call the number on your screen right now. There is absolutely no cost for the call or the consultation. You are under no obligation. If you are worried that the IRS could garnish your wages, seize your assets, even take your home, call us right now. The Tax Relief Line is here to help you. Now you have a knowledgeable, professional team of tax experts that are ready to negotiate with the IRS and fight for you to save you money. The Tax Relief Line's professionals have successfully negotiated thousands of cases, reducing and sometimes even eliminating the tax debt for their clients. It's very easy to get started. Simply call the number on your screen right now. You don't have to live in fear anymore. The call and the consultation are free.